A 1, 2, 3, 4. I love succulents and you do too. They're so beautiful, fun and new.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk everything succulents. Woo!
I'm in the middle of beheading this. I think this is an Echeveria blue sky. I also found something similar, and it's called the Echeveria Dix Pink. I noticed that the leaves are drying up right in the front here, like the tips, and then the rest of it is just really thick. So what I'm thinking is something about the soil is probably doing that. I'm not sure. So I'm just gonna start from scratch, behead this. I hope it doesn't die because it's so beautiful. I don't want to lose this plant, but it just seems like if you look underneath, it's just getting so tall and etiolated. So I don't want to take a chance there either. And I know that Echeverias are dormant during the winter time. It's still spring, so in the summer I'm hoping after 2 days I put it in some new soil with a bunch of worm castings and it'll do the trick. So cross your fingers for me. Let's pray. My hunch was pretty spot on. I see some rot right there, and then if you look at the stem itself, there's rot right there in the middle. So what I'm going to do is probably going to take this one out because I know that if I plant this, I don't trust this soil right here where they planted it. So if I plant this, repot this, it might give me some babies around. So that's what I'm about to do. Okay, so for this one, for the head, I'm just going to I'm just going to cut right above where it starts to dry out right there, so it's not taking any more energy from the actual plant itself. But I still have to keep this I think I'm gonna keep it indoors for now, just so that it'll heal, the cut will heal. But see how like there's this part of the leaf that's alive, and then this is just, I don't know why that is. And it's happening for every single one of them. I don't want to do that. I don't want that to happen. So I'm also going to check for mealy bugs to make sure that there isn't any. Then I'm just going to set this aside for now. And then this one, always make sure that you wipe off your X-Acto knife. See, there's already sap there. I don't know. I have to clean that up with alcohol. With this one, with this guy right here, I'm inspecting. This is probably the same situation like my Tolmanensis, where it just kind of rotted because it was overwatered. Ooh, look at it's a really long stem underneath there. I bet you that's part of the reason why. Like this rot right here, it's actually, I don't know if it's fungi or just overwatered, I think, right there, because I can feel it's still wet. But even though the soil is super dry, I have to repot this in a different pot, so I know, or I'll just remove all of this soil that I don't trust. Okay, so I removed all the old soil from it. And let me get the light here closer. So what I noticed is this is the pot, right? I don't know why I'm 2x, but okay. So here's the pot. And if you notice, this was already root bound, and plus it was way down the bottom there. So I might see there's this dry part over here. So don't be afraid to cut some of that root. And this is just an experiment, because the more root system, the longer the root system, the less nutrients gonna get to your plant. So this is an experiment. Don't quote me on this. I'm just making sure that this plant gets a chance to survive. So I'm gonna get rid of all these other roots and then repot this, and making it so that more of the stem is exposed, because these little nodules right here, I believe that they will sprout more plants for me. I'm hoping. So we'll see. This is actually an experiment, just without information, just feeling your plants. So what I have here is some soil that has a lot of worm casting. Actually, I'm not going to use the same pot, because now that I have a smaller root system, this is not going to be, it's going to be too big. So I'm going to pick a smaller pot, and just a regular plastic pot. I'm going to look for one moment. Okay, so here's my smaller pot. Just going to stick this in there and then cover it up. I am just hoping upon hope that this is gonna work, because it's a pretty plant, and it would be a shame to waste this this stem, because it still has some life in it. I'm hoping. Let's all pray that it works. I mean, it's not attractive right now, of course. And I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, so there she is. She's just chilling. And so what's going to happen right now is I'm not going to touch it. I'm not even going to water it for a whole week. I just want the roots to start to acclimate with the new soil and the new environment. And when so after it does, it's going to start growing again. So the root system should be growing again, and then it either some stems are gonna pop out on the sides there. I'm hoping this is all hope, and or these little nodules on the side, these scars right here, will pop up more plants. I accidentally cut right there, so I don't know if there's going to be one coming out of there, but I'm just hoping. And so for now, I am going to add some more, since we want to give it some Red Bull. And where is my little, oh crap. I'm just killing plants left and right here because I'm not paying attention. Okay, so here's my worm casting. I'm just going to put it all around here. It is a fertilizer, but the difference between this and your manufactured fertilizer is that one, it's not going to hurt the plant at all. It's, if anything, it's going to, you know, progressively grow it. So I'm gonna put it around there. They said 1 teaspoon for a 6-inch pot. This is a 4-inch pot, and I'm hoping that you know, it's not gonna hurt it. It's going to continuously feed it for about 2 months, but I'm not gonna wait 2 months. As soon as I see growths coming out of there, I'm going to keep feeding it with also water, my warm tea. So I just want to make sure that it has enough to work with, because it is beheaded. This right here, look how pretty it is. Oh my goodness gracious. Close up. That's so pretty. And I, you know, I haven't seen another one like it. And I don't know if I will ever see another one like it. So I'm hoping one or the other will continue to give me something beautiful. So there are several things that are happening right here in this, with this plant right here. This is a Sedeveria blue giant. It's this is actually, this head right here is top heavy, so it's bending over this way. It's not a big deal if you ask me, but I've just removed several leaves down here because it looks like it's not getting enough water, because the water has to travel so far away. But if you overwater it, then these new growths right here are going to suffer. So this is the right time to actually behead this this plant. And the first thing I'm going to do, and this is something that I have done before that I will never ever do, because I would rather have a healthy plant than a beautiful looking planter. And I put the rocks in there because, for one, this was too heavy, so it was able to hold the planter down. But I have learned my lesson with these rock dressing. I'm not ever going to use it because I would rather have a beautiful collection, a beautiful looking collection. And plus the fact that it's not able to grow this way widthwise because the rocks are in the way. So even if it wanted to grow, actually it's trying to grow around it and upwards. You know, when you're dealing with plants in containers, you kind of have to cut your losses, because sometimes it's not a very good idea. I mean, it looks pretty and everything, but some plants just, I don't know, it's just not conducive for planter life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this head off right here with my really sharp X-Acto knife that's clean. Hopefully I cleaned it before I put the cap back on. At any rate, if you want to clean your X-Acto knife, you just gotta use some alcohol to disinfect it. I'm also feeling that there's, oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. There is mealybugs in there. Look at the, so I have to clean this off with alcohol. And when I was looking at it, it was looking really sickly. It's not very healthy. Inside, it's pretty healthy in there, but it's not to its optimal look or health. So I'm going to behead this really, really carefully. Okay, so I'm looking in there and I'm seeing there's some black areas or darker areas that it might have been already starting to rot because of the mealybugs. So what's going to happen here is this right here is going to start to give energy to the stalk, to the stem itself. And once it does that, there's more plants that are going to come out of there. Although the energy right now was going to this big head, the big flower right here. And I also want to stress that when you get the flowers, I mean, yeah, they're beautiful with the flowers, but I think that succulents themselves are beautiful enough that, you know, when there's a flower right there, this is just way conducive for mealybugs. Look at that. See the webbing? It's already starting to trying to kill this plant. See, it's sucking the life out of it. So I'm gonna remove some of these sick. Look, it's just eating it up, you know. Plus it's very dry too, so I'm thinking it needs water. It just needs a drink of water. But of course there's mealybugs there, so I'm not even gonna worry about propagating these leaves because I have all these other heads available for me. So I'm just gonna remove most of these leaves. I don't really want to remove all of them, but these are pretty sick already. You know, I'd rather just start fresh. Look at that. What's that? There's some stuff in there. So yeah, so you're gonna end up with a smaller plant. That's fine because you still have these. These guys are really healthy. I mean, I'm touching it. It's really good and healthy. And then there's, see this part right here. This is almost dried up. I mean, it's some kind of fungus already. So this is going to be a healthy plant after I'm done with it. And this is going to be a very small plant when I'm done with it. But I'm just removing all the infected or affected leaves right here. Here's where the flower stalk was. So I end up with this much, but I'm gonna cut this even further down and just remove all this old. Now we have a fresh stalk right there. Gonna let that callus over for a couple days, and then I'm gonna repot that. I did not see a big colonization of mealybugs in there, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. I think they were done. I don't know. I could probably try to propagate these guys. I can try, okay? There's no guarantee, but I can try. But what, you know, what's it gonna hurt? Nothing really. I'm just gonna let these the soil breathe. It's not being choked by rocks anymore. Then I'm going to add some more worm casting in there because I just think that it's, you know, precaution to further damage, and it'll really make the growth prolific, you know, because I mean, let's face it, that's the Red Bull of plants. That's why there's a reason why it's called Gardener's Black. We're worm casting. Look how pure and beautiful that is. Ah, I just love it. And then now I can, because it's really dry, I can water this guy with some rainwater and worm tea. And I can actually leave this out of the greenhouse. And you watch. This right here will start growing some more heads. So I'm not even worried about it, really. I mean, that's just the way it is. When you have containers, I'm pretty sure that if this was planted in ground, which I am probably going to do with this one, just plant it in ground, you know, and that's gonna, you know, make some more plants for me.